A true awakening is about letting go of identity. And I use this word all the time, identities, identities. What I mean by that is the letting go of the false self. And the false self is made up of a number of things, including ideas that we have about ourselves. And these can be I am statements. I am a woman. I am a son. I am a father. I am a doctor. It can be roles that we play, jobs that we do, but then it gets even trickier. It can be I'm a kind person, I'm friendly, I am difficult. It can be positive things, negative things, all kinds of things hiding out in there. And the majority of it, we could say all of those different ideas about who we think we are that are false, along with other things like trauma imprints and repressed emotions and all of this functioning that happens, all that together, that functioning makes up the illusory self. And we could say makes up the identity. And so looking at the different I am statements, the different identities that are there is very helpful for awakening, because this is part of deconstructing that identity structure. And it can be hard because it's in our blind spot a lot of the time. It can be, we don't even realize that it's there. It is unconscious material, meaning you haven't accessed it yet. But some of the common identities that I see with the work that I do, working with people talking about awakening, would be I'm a good person, kind person, friendly person, something along those lines. I am because you're dealing with spiritual people. So I guess maybe most people believe that they're a nice person, a kind person. Maybe not everyone, but typically spiritual people will. And then I'm a spiritual seeker, or I'm spiritual, or I'm wise. Something with a spiritual edge is pretty common, of course, and to be expected for people going through an awakening. It's pretty hard to get through the awakening process without developing some kind of spiritual identity. And then there is the sometimes called the codependent, the fixer, the savior, the helper, plays out a little differently. And this one is actually one that's established in early childhood, in family dynamics, where the child, often the one that goes through an awakening for some reason, develops the strategy of trying to help either siblings or the parents or other people, and they take on that role. And it could be because of a narcissistic family environment. It could have been because a parent was an addict, or a parent was sick and needed help, or the parents weren't there and you were the oldest, and so you had to help the siblings. Some type of scenario plays out where we develop this strategy of fixing and helping, and it's just a strategy for survival. It's a way that we get love and feel a sense of worth, but through that we also get a sense of identity through it. That's how we know ourselves, is that I'm the one in the family that everybody goes to for advice, for help. I'm the one that fixes the family's problems. As you get older, that's how it could turn out. And we might take great pride in being in that role as a child and as an adult. And when we were talking about awakening, though, so it's pretty like a harmless identity as far as being in the world. There's much more dangerous and toxic identities, of course. But if we're just talking about making progress with awakening, we're wanting to look at all our identities, even the ones that seem nice and helpful and kind and loving. And the reason why it's worth talking about this is because it can very much be in our blind spot, meaning that we have no idea that it's there. We cannot see it. And it might seem obvious to those around us that we're the one that goes out of our way to help other people. So this could play out when you grow up as doing the same dynamic with your family of origin, still being that person that people go to in the family for advice, to fix problems, to rely on, to ask for help. It could be just with one person. The dynamic might just be with a drug addict in the family, and so that could play out in your romantic relationship, and then you attract someone with some kind of similar issue, and then you become the fixer for them. And we're unconsciously trying to repair the parental wounds and the things that were happening as a child. So we are likely, unless we're doing therapy or doing work on this specifically, to not realize that that is happening. But we find ourselves back in a situation where we are the codependent again, we're the fixer, we're in a situation where we're trying to help our partner. So this could happen as helping family of origin, helping partner, wife, husband. It could be then put onto your children and fixing, helping, advice giving, being that person for them as well. It could be that you're that person for friends. And it could be that you choose a job, which often happens where you get to do that in your job. So I see this a lot with psychologists, therapists, counselors, social workers, nurses. It's that type of person that's very helpful and warm and caring, is how it comes across, and lovely to be around, honestly. But it is this identity that I am the fixer. I'm the one that will help you. I'm the helper. Some version of that. It can also be gift giving, just another thing to add in there. Buying gifts for other people even when they didn't ask for it. Going above and beyond for people even though they didn't ask for it. It plays out slightly differently for each person, but I'm giving you different ideas so you can see whether this is a part of your identity structure. And the reason why I chose this one specifically for this talk is because it's probably the most common one I see for people going through an awakening. I'm not saying everyone has it, but a large majority have this. And perhaps this is a part of going through the awakening process, is that you become the person in the family that is the one that people depend on. You're almost like the adult to the parents in the family. Maybe that is a part of finding awakening and going through this process, or healing karma. Who can say for sure? What I can say is that it is extremely common to be in this role, the fixer helper role, advice giver role, and go through an awakening. And it's also one of the hardest identities to see, which is why it's worth talking about, because it doesn't seem to cause any harm except to ourselves. So if we're honest with ourselves, we will see that the downside to this identity is that we'll prioritize everybody else over ourselves. And in that, we lack self-care. We might get sick. We could even get really challenging illnesses if we really neglect ourselves. And that's the consequence of this identity. There's consequences of every identity, but this one in particular causes damage to your health. And it gives you a sense of self and a sense of worth, and how you get love. That's how you know how to get love. You do for others. You buy them a gift. You think about them. You send them a text message every week. You're the one that always reaches out to them. You're the one that always says yes if they need something, whether it's one person or everybody that you know, however it's played out for you. But if you're resonating with this talk, if you feel like it could be there, the way to start to break this identity, of course, we want to bring awareness to it like any identity. We've got to be honest with ourselves that it's there. We want to heal the childhood wounds around the family dynamics that happen, go into inner child work and therapy if we need to, and go and heal where this originated and where we started doing these strategies. And then we want to stop doing it simply, but that's a journey in itself, where we are likely to be involved in a job where we get to do it. We have children where we get to do it. We might be doing it all day long, and we may be even frustrated with it. We might be ready to put it down. We might see that it's making us sick and that something needs to change. We will get burnout if we have this pattern. It's only so long we can do this, have this identity for, before it starts causing some physical problems. And so we may see that it's very necessary for our own survival and for our health and well-being to put down this pattern. But if we're talking about awakening specifically, it's giving you a sense of identity. And so as soon as we're talking about you have a sense of identity, you're going to stop your progress with awakening while you're feeding that. So we have to look at, what do I really want? If I want truth and awakening, I have to stop doing the things that are feeding the identities that I have. So in this case, I need to stop saying yes all the time. I need to prioritize my own self-care. Stuff that sounds really basic, but when you have this pattern, can be very difficult to do, depending on the life that we've found and ourselves in now and what we've attracted because of this identity and pattern. But we have to gradually, step by step, start to get into a healthy place with it and start to put down this way that we do things in the world with others. So learning how to say no, learning how to set boundaries, just learning how to push back a little bit and learning how to look after yourself. Self-care, meaning listening to the needs of the body. Do I need water? Do I need a break? Do I need to not work as hard? That's what real self-care is, really listening to the body and prioritizing. It's like, I will help someone else, that is fine, but always after I've helped myself, always after I've given the body what it needs, then if I have enough energy, time, whatever it is, then perhaps I will help another, certainly. And that's the way everybody should be doing it, so that for our survival, so that we can function in a healthy way, in a happy way. And so prioritizing the body and its needs, starting to say no and setting boundaries, these are going to be key areas for putting down this identity, healing the origin of it in childhood. If you're one of the helpers that likes to give presents, then try to resist the urge. And it sounds simple, but it will be hard. Anytime we're putting down identity and putting down things that have come from a wounded place and a place where we get love and a sense of worth, it's going to be painful to stop doing it. But that's how you know you're onto something. So if we're a gift giver, we stop giving gifts. See what that feels like to stop giving cards to everyone at Christmas, stop buying things for our children that they didn't ask for. What does that feel like to resist that temptation? And sit with that feeling. And working on your self-worth, learning about self-worth and self-love will help as well, so that you're not outsourcing to get that. And if you have it within yourself, then you don't need to try to help other people to feel worthy. So that will also help, and that could be in therapy, but learning about self-worth and self-love so that you're not going outside of yourself to find it. If you're an advice giver type, which pretty much comes with the territory of this identity, then it's starting to stop being that person for everyone. And that can be hard if we're a parent or if we're in a role that we've probably attracted at work, where we're going to be that person, the advice giver, and people come to for help. it's going to be hard to start to back away from this. It might mean changing jobs. It might mean changing lifestyle a little bit, but just slowly start to back away from that and stop being that person that people go to, and start to say that you don't know, that you don't have all the answers. And people will turn to someone else, then they'll depend on someone else. So don't be that person that they're always depending on. Let them find their own way in life. Let them find their own power and way of coping in life, so that they're not dependent on us for getting their needs met and for advice all the time. Help direct them in a way where they can become more mature themselves and less dependent on you. And so step by step, we stop giving that advice. We give shorter advice. We say, we don't know. I don't know. Have you tried Googling it? Right? Stop becoming that person for them. You've got to break the habit of them coming to you for that. And we have to want to, and it's going to hurt probably. And the more we heal the childhood wounds around this, the less painful it will be, because we'll see we don't need to do that to feel worthy. And that it's actually, what can happen with this pattern very commonly is not only do we get sick and burnt out, is that we get angry and resentful that the person or people that we are helping, whether it is patients that we have, clients that we have, that we feel like we're helping and on all day, helping, advice giving, whether it's a partner that is a narcissist or an addict, or ill, or a child that has problems, or whatever the dynamic is, we find that we're a bottomless pit of giving, and sometimes we feel like we're getting no reciprocation, as in they're not valuing it. Perhaps we give them a gift and they're like, okay. And so we get angry, we get resentful. But what we don't see, what's in the shadow side of this identity, is that they didn't ask for that. You're actually doing it for to meet your own needs, to get a sense of self, to get self-worth, to get love. You're doing it for yourself. When we have this identity, we tell ourselves that we're doing it for the other person and that they should be grateful that we're helping them so much. But we're doing it to get our own needs met. We're doing it for our own wounded reasons. And so facing that part of the shadow of this identity can be hard, but is essential for letting it go and to help with awakening and to help with your healing and to be more psychologically healthy. We need to see that I'm doing this and causing this harm to myself and burnout. I'm doing that because of my wounds. I need to take responsibility and go and heal my childhood wounds around this. It's not about the other person and how they react to whatever it is that I did. They've got their own stuff to do with dependency that they need to work through, but that's not really your business. That's their journey and their spiritual path. For those of us with this codependent identity, it's about us taking responsibility and seeing that our anger and resentment that we have at how other people behave because we don't get what we want, the reaction that we want out of it, is for us to look at and is the shadow side, and for us to heal. So there's nothing wrong with helping another person, and when you're awake, selfless service is a part of it and it comes naturally, but it's very different than coming from a wounded place, coming from a place of feeling like you unconsciously have to help that person, that you don't really know how to be in the world any other way. That's very different to the selfless service that comes from being awake. And once you've let go of this pattern, you'll be able to start to access that